بسم الله الذي هدينا ولو عبدنا غيره شقينا أحبنا وأحب دينا. اللهم صل على محمد كلما ذكر الذاكرون وصل على محمد كلما غفل عن ذكر الغافلين. In the 6th year of the Hijrah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had a vision that he's performing Umrah. Obviously, since having left Mecca, the Muslims were not allowed freely to return by the Quraysh, let alone perform Umrah. So this was again all against the apparent logic of the given situation. It was even more difficult to understand than when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Rome and Persia will be conquered. So much so that 1,400 Ṣaḥābah alone were got ready to join Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for this Umrah. And when the Quraysh heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is coming, now he wasn't coming with any intention of war. He's coming solely for the pleasure of Allah, solely to perform Umrah for the sake of Allah. So they did not come as an army, they did not have weapons, they did not have armor. They went as people performing Umrah. The Quraysh said, come what may, we're going to stop us, because it was a major insult to them from their point of view that this is our enemy, and our enemy thinks that he can just come in and walk in when he wants to, and he wants to make Umrah, and we're controlling the Kaaba, and on top of it he's coming with this other religion, making Umrah according to his religion. This is not going to happen. So they sent out their forces to stop Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not come for war. So he got into the borders of the Ḥaram as early as possible, at a place called Hudaybiyah. If you travel on the highway from Jeddah to Makkah, you will come to a place where there's a structure built over the highway. Going over that, I'm not sure if it's meant to be two swords or Quran. I think it's supposed to be a Quran stand. But that marks the border, that is Hudaybiyah. So now even the Quraysh respect it to a degree that now we cannot fight once you are in the borders. But that does not mean we're going to allow you to come now into Makkah itself to make your Umrah. And so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obviously summarized version, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sends Ḥuthmān bin Akwā as his ambassador, because despite the differences, because of his family, number one, he was from the Banu Umayyah, and number two, because ʿUthmānRضي had a great reputation for his generosity even before Islam. The Quraysh used to really respect him. So that is why Rasulullah chose ʿUthmān radiallahu anhu, and he went to Makkah and they were negotiating. And then the Quraysh told ʿUthmān radiallahu anhu that you are here, and we got no problem with you making tawaf. You are here, go make your tawaf. And ʿUthmān radiallahu anhu said, I make tawaf, and you're not allowing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Never. And again they took that, everything was an insult, they took that also as an insult, and they arrested ʿUthmān radiallahu anhu. But the news that came back to the Muslim camp was that ʿUthmān radiallahu anhu had been killed. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam takes a pledge, although they are unarmed, but they're killing the ambassador and they're attacking us. This is a oath of fighting to the death. It's called Bay'atul Ridwan. The Quran also mentions his pleasure. The Quran also mentioned Allah's pleasure for those Ṣaḥābah who pledged while Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was standing under the tree. The character of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What little I've mentioned, but you can understand what a serious situation this is. Understanding that they can be preparing for battle, and in a battle where they are few in number, unarmed, and the Quraysh are many in number, and this is their home base. Obviously they have everything they need for a battle, should a battle take place, and they're taking an oath to fight to the death. In that situation, Salmāh bin Akwā, Salmāh being a male name by the way, Salmāh bin Akwā radiallahu anhu, he's a small boy at the time. He pledges to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he leaves the line. In that serious situation, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has the time to play and tease with the children. Hey Salmāh, where are you going? Don't you pledge? Why have you not pledged to Rasulullah? Why don't you pledge to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? He says, Qad baya'tuka ya Rasulullah, I did pledge. Get back in that line and pledge. Get back in the line, pledges again, goes out. Hey, where do you think you're going? Get in the line and pledge there. Like that, 7 times. One is the playful nature of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam with children, even in a battle situation. It's one of us doing that, you say, no, this man is not serious, what kind of madman is he? But that was the way our Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was, even in that battle situation. And also in that, look at the honor he gives Salmāh radiallahu anhu, that while everybody else pledges once, they touch Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's hands once. How many times? It was probably about 7 times. Salmāh radiallahu anhu has the opportunity to pledge and touch Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam 7 times. A side note in the greater picture of Hudaybiyah, but to me very important on the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The Quraysh sent several ambassadors. Urwa bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, none of them are Muslim at the time, obviously. Some of them became Muslim, like Urwa bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. One of them was not known, and one of them definitely did not become a Muslim. Some people have made this statement, whoever came and saw the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at Hudaybiyah became a Muslim instantly. That is completely a falsehood. Even those who became Muslim, Urwa radiallahu anhu became Muslim 2 to 3 years later. In any case, the final ambassador we have agreement is reached is Suhail bin Amr radiallahu anhu, not yet Muslim at the time. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had commanded Ali radiallahu anhu to prepare a draft of the treaty. And as usual, so Suhail reads it, and as usual, how does it begin? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So Suhail says, now who is this Ar-Rahman? Who is this Ar-Rahim? We don't worship this. Now if someone must tell you this now, how would you react? Now we're talking about Ṣaḥābah and their state of Iman. How their blood is ready to boil over. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, never mind, delete it. Scratch out Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Goes on, this as agreed upon between Muhammad Rasulullah and Suhail bin Amr. Who is this Muhammad Rasulullah? He says, if we had accepted you as Rasulullah, then what is this fight about in the first place? Scratch it out. And there is a great tumult. Ṣaḥābah now ready to give up their lives. How we react emotionally when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is insulted. Imagine how the Ṣaḥābah radiallahu anhum have to control themselves, and they're not willing to accept this. Scratch out Muhammad Rasulullah. They're willing to shed their lives, shed their blood, give up their lives, but scratch out Muhammad Rasulullah, that's not going to happen. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam could not read or write. He says, you are not willing to scratch it out. Show me where is this words. I will scratch it out myself. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam scratched out Muhammad Rasulullah. We always act emotionally, and we sometimes look at one small little facet of deen, and one is 20 different issues to consider, but we will look at that one and everything else is unimportant. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a bigger picture in mind, which the Ṣaḥābah found very difficult to understand at that point. But he is the Rasul and he must be obeyed. Even such a great personality as Umar bin Khattab found this for the treaty that was signed, that was when signed, he found it to be very, very difficult. What is this? And then, as Mullah Bilal recited yesterday, when Allah revealed this is Fath Mubina, this is a clear victory. Whereas everything in that treaty was against the Muslims. I'm not going to go into the details, there won't be time. But everything was against the Muslims. The Quran says this is a clear victory. And what is this? It was a real test upon the Ṣaḥābah, but they had to obey. And they were looking at the small things, the honor of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That was big issues for them. In the bigger picture for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are times when the people of leadership, they have to take decisions that people who are following cannot always understand. If everybody's opinion was always count, nothing will ever happen in life. Understand that. Not that your opinion is not important, or you are not important. Everybody's important, but if we're all going to have this, that my opinion must count and this must take place, nothing's going to happen. Long and short is that Muslims were not allowed to perform Umrah. The treaty was signed which was against the Muslims. But peace was established for the first time in 6 years of war. Muslims were allowed to go and preach Islam to the other tribes because of peace. And Imam Zuhri, rahmatullah alayhi, the great historian of Islam, he says that if you count the amount of Muslims who became Muslims until the day of Hudaybiyah, that is 19 years of Islam. And then the peace of Hudaybiyah lasted 2 years. More people became Muslim in that 2 years than in the previous whole 19 years put together. That was the wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was difficult to scratch out that Bismillah, and it's difficult to scratch out that Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the Nabi's vision was far greater, and it soon became apparent. And that was a great victory, Fath Mubina, thousands upon thousands of people entering Islam. Subhanallah bihamdihi.